Today's session is on Power BI, right? We'll start with the agenda, what we'll be covering today. So agenda will be what is Power BI and what does it do? We'll follow it with a simple demo. We'll take it on Power BI itself. And then we'll talk about the fundamentals and related terms in the field. And we'll also talk about the other BI tools in the market, which are existing along with Power BI. And then we'll also talk about how it evolved during and with the time, and most interestingly, in the end, we'll talk about the career path and job opportunities with the Power BI knowledge. All right. So in the next 45 minutes, I will make sure that you learn the basics of Power BI and how it will be helpful in your career. Before we learn what is Power BI, let's set some base for it. Right. Let's talk about data. We all are surrounded by data, right? And it surrounds us every day. It never stops. It keeps on coming. Intentionally or unintentionally, we are just producing data, right? You go to Facebook, you go to Instagram, you like something, you are producing data for Facebook or Instagram. They are analyzing it and running their economics, right? So, but what do we do with the data, right? When we have this data stored, what do we do with that? So for a certain company, for example, I have a data in a tabular format. You may relate to it, and I will take them in very simple language and consumable language. So I have a data for a country, for a company in which I have country, I have sales data actually. So this is country, team, client name, and I have date of sale, and then I have revenue and the margin. So after deducting all the expense and manufacturing cost, how much I saved from the sale. Your manager comes up and tells you you want to analyze this data and you want to see net revenue and margin by month. Right. Now, what do we need? We don't need anything except the date, revenue, and the margins because we are working on net revenue and margins by month, right? Let's go about it. So, how would you want to see this data? Point one, I'll just take an Excel file or any file, any spreadsheet. I will plot down all the months. In front of that, I will put on revenue and the say and the margins by month. I'm good to go like this. Good enough. I don't need anything else. He asked me to prepare revenue and margins by month. I did that. Pretty enough. But have you actually analyzed this data? This is simple reporting as we had earlier. Have you actually analyzed it? No. What if I give you this option? First of all, it is the same data, but I'm visualizing it. So in the month of January, your sales were 148K and the margins were 64K. You see this same here. In the January, you have 148K and 64K as a margin, right? But what else can you analyze from this pictorial view? You see every third month, your sales are increasing. There's a spike in sales after every third month, after every 2 months. It means the quarter ends. So what could be the reasons? The reasons could be maybe the sales executives are hunting for more sales in the end of the quarter to complete their targets, like that. So, and we can say the sales in first 2 months of the year are lesser as compared to other months. It may be because they are on the holiday period at this point in time after year end, and they're covering it in the third month. So we don't. So we can analyze a lot of things from here. So I can have profit percentage over here as well. So I think with this, we have set our base to learn what is Power BI, right? More picture visualization. So let's talk about what is Power BI. Power BI is a business analytics application by Microsoft. So back in 2013, although there were a lot of applications, but Power BI with Office 365 module came up with Power BI module, right? It's an application which you can download and store in your laptop, and then you share the reports when you make it. So what does it do? So it actually enables you to create reports and dashboard to consume, right? It also provides you interactive data visualization. What is interactive data visualization? So suppose you have 3 different charts in a table, or you have 5 different, or you have 9 different charts in the table. All of those charts or visuals are talking to each other. We'll take that in demo as well, but this is good to go. Next is business intelligence capabilities. So again, a fancy term, but what is it? Business intelligence is a process of using technology to collate, compile, and analyze data, and then translate into a useful information like we did in the previous chart and make business decisions out of it. All right. So this is the theoretical knowledge about Power BI. Let's talk about some basics of Power BI. So when we start with Power BI, how do we go about it? So step one is Power BI Desktop. So Microsoft has released 3 modules of Power BI. One is Power BI Desktop, and we'll talk about other 2 as well. So the first one is, as it says, it's free. Like any other software in the market, you can go to Microsoft Power BI website, download it, install it in your system, in your PC, and start preparing your own reports and dashboard, which is free of cost. You don't need anything to prepare it, right? Take your own data or take data from online, which is open source data. You can use anything to prepare your reports. And what after that? When you prepare this report, you share it with people. But how do you share it? Just like a simple Excel file, you can save it in your desktop, right? When you save it in your desktop, it will come in a PBIX format like this. Then you can pick this file and share it over the email or over the any social networking or any communication method, right? But is it an efficient way of sharing the data? I think no, because anytime, suppose this file today is 200 KB, but tomorrow it becomes 150 MB file. How would you share that data then? It is not easy to share 150 MB file, data MB file, right? Or suppose tomorrow when you share it, and after that some new data comes up, you have not updated this data, right? The data you already shared with the people is not updated. You have updated data, but the people who have already have this file is not updated. So to counter that issue, Microsoft came up with this Power BI Pro. So in which it enables the developer to create the file in the desktop and save it and publish it over the cloud. From cloud, he or she can share the file with her teammates. All right. But what do we need for this? When we have saved it on the cloud, you can access it from anywhere. As we know about cloud, you can access it from anywhere, anytime. What do we need? We need a license, Power BI license. So every user, be it a developer or the user, the reader, everyone would need a license to view this report, which costs around $10 per month, right? And what about the companies? The bigger companies may go for this option as well, which is Power BI Premium. It will give you more cloud space and more infrastructure support, and it will cost you around 5,000 per capacity per month. So company would only pay 5,000 per month. Then everyone in the company can use it without having a Power BI Pro license, right? You can embed your reports in your website or embed it in your SharePoint or anything which is your internal communication device, right? So this is about how to begin with Power BI. But what do you need when you start preparing the reports? What do you need, right? You need data, as we talked about earlier. You need data, and a lot of it, right? So before just without wasting time, let's go to the Power BI and let's see how we use data to create reports. This is my software, right? Power BI software, which is free of course. I have downloaded it from the Power BI website. What you see in front of you is a Power BI report section, a report view. In the right, you have 3 different panes: filter, visualization, and filter and fields. In the left, you have one more pane which will enable you to switch between report view, data view, and the modeling view. We'll talk about it later. On the top, like in Microsoft Word or Excel, you have different tabs. You can switch in between them. So to start with, what do we need? We need data, right? Let's go here and look for more data. All right, it is connecting with the data. So as you see, there are many options from where you connect the data, right? There are more than hundreds of options where you can connect your data. You can connect with Excel file, CSV format, JSON, PDF, or folders. You can connect it with databases like Amazon, SQL. You can connect it with SAP, or this is relatively new, which is Power BI, its own data sets. And you have Azure databases, then you have online services like you can connect it from Dynamics 365, SharePoint, Google Analytics, Salesforce, and Facebook directly, Instagram. And then you have others, right? Like Active Directory, all of them. Since we don't have data right now, we can use Microsoft's data itself. So it allows me to use its own data to make some report out of it. So let's try with the sample data. When you open Power BI, you will see that, right? Let's try with the sample data. So the moment I click on it, it will give me a, let's, let's load it. Let's load sample data. Now it is connecting with the financial sample it has already built in the Power BI. Now you see it has connected with me an Excel file. This format is XLSX is an Excel file in which we have one sheet and a table. Let me load the table. Then you see you have different options. You can directly load it or transform the data before loading it. So let me transform it before loading it. So when we do this transformation, this happens at the back end of Power BI. Right. So it opens up the same infrastructure, the same engine which is there in the Excel, the Power Query. Right. So you have this, right? You have this data, and this it is showing me again the sales something. They have this. They have the sales report. They have date field. They have month field. They have discount and several columns like product. These are the products. How many products they have? They have 5, 6 different products. And then they have country in which the sale happened in the segment through which sale happened. Is it a government sale or is it a small business sale, like that? So how many segments do we have? We can have a quick look of data, right? So let's go here and let's see how our date and how many years of data we have. We have 2 years of data. Let's see only 2014 data. We ignore 2013 data. So let me remove it. The moment you clicked on it, you filtered out, it has recorded this action, right? You don't need to go every time and remove 2013 out of it. It will automatically do it when you refresh the data next time. Let me close and load. You will see that data will appear here in the fields column. All the tables which you loaded will appear in the fields section, the 111 KB of data. Here you go. So you have one table because we have loaded only one table out of 2. You have separate columns in the table like sales, date, product, profit, etc. All right. In this report view, we don't have anything because we have not built anything right now. Then you have data, right? Data view, and then you have the modeling view because we have only one table. We can't actually model it right now. So let's get started with making visualizations out of it. I have this financial tables. In this, I have a sales column. I want to see what is my total sales. Without worrying about anything, let me just pull it off. So by default, it gives me a clustered column chart, but I can change it through using the visualization pane. Like I wanted a number. My total sales is 92.31 million. Okay, good enough. Let me pull it profit as well. Okay, let me change it to this as well. 13.02 million. But why are we doing everything? Let Power BI do everything for us. Let me just double click on the screen and write a question for Power BI. Let him use its AI. Let me write sales by product. Now you see Power BI is smart enough to recognize what are the products and what is their sales. Right? Let me change it with the clustered column chart, the visualization. I like this more. So let me change it. So my Power BI did its function automatically for me. Right? I just wrote a question for it. Now let me just turn on the labels. I can customize it according to my needs. I've turned on the labels. You see these are enabled now. Maybe I want to see by country as well. So let me pull in country as well. You see, this is transformed into country view. Maybe I don't want to see different rows. I want to see everything in columns. I am just making one row out of it. All right. So now I have sales by country and by product. So in Canada, I can say my sales is for this Montana product. I have a sales of 2.3 million. I can increase this font size. I can play around with the colors of it. Uh, Let me just take a copy of it and switch it over. And there, instead of sales, let me pull in units sold. All right, so that I have a view of both. Now I see this product is repeating twice, so let me just take it off. From x-axis, I can just take it off. In fact, I removed the x-axis. So now you see I have my sales and then the units sold by country, by product. All right. And what else? What else I can do? Let me take one more view here. Let me double click again on the screen itself. Let me say sales by month. See, it has already has a line chart for you. Let me again do some customization in it. And in 10 minutes, you see you have developed your own report and dashboard. You don't need any IT expert in this. You don't need any external help, right? I can again just turn on this. With this, I can just play around with data colors. I can customize it according as per my requirement. Now, the most importantly, we talked about data interaction, right? How does these charts talk to each other? Now, for example, I want to see this trend by month only for the country France. The moment I click on France here, the whole sheet will turn into France. You see this trend is now only for France. The sales is for France, the profit is for France, right? And now if I may want to create more columns, I want profit percentage as well because I like profit percentage instead of profit amount, but I don't have it here, right? So what I can do, I can create one more visual, one more column or formula. We call it new measure in the Power BI. So I can write a formula here. I will make it as profit percentage, which is equal. I want to divide profit by sales. So I will say sum of profit and then divided by sum of sales. So it is as simple as writing my English language, right? And if I don't get anything, if error comes up, just pull me 0. And it's done. You have one more column in here, which says profit percentage. You can pull it up and that will give you profit percentage. In the visuals, let me just make it like this. And you can change the format of it because in decimals, you can change it to percentage. Right? So you have a profit of 15.45%. What else you could do? You could also just introduce one more column, one more filter. If I pull in segment, which showed me through which I did my sales, I can just go here, change the visual to the filter. So now if I click on channel partners, you see this whole data is filtered by channel partners or government or mid-market. Channel partner, the profit is little higher, 73.22%, right? When I go to small business, it is comparatively low, right? So I can make some decisions out of it. Like I would want to increase my sales through channel partners and not through enterprises or small business. See, you have negative profit here. So you have lost it. You're losing money here, right? So these kind of interactions we can play around in a very short period of time. So within 10 minutes, we have built a report. Obviously, we can just customize it as per our requirement. We can beautify it and we can customize it as per, right? So this is a quick demo of how you can create a report in Power BI, right? Again, so I just forgot to mention that this is the data view, this in which you see all the data and modeling, right? All right, because we don't have, so modeling relationships comes up where you have multiple data sets. For example, in here, you have only sales data. Tomorrow, if someone plans to take in stock in hand data. So what would you do? You would want to connect these two data. So for connecting these two data, you would need a help of relationships, building relationship with two tables, right? Let us go with more basics, right? Let us talk about some fundamentals, what we did while creating this report in 10 minutes, right? We started with extract, we did some transformation, and then we loaded and analyzed it. The first step was extract. We connected with the data source, right? You remember when we showed that get data, we had files, we had databases, different Power BI platforms, and then we have Azure and other online services. You could connect to any of them and then start putting in data in your Power BI report, right? And next step is to transform it. Since the data was very small, we did not have more standard checks in this. We only removed 2013 out of it, right? But in a data where we have big organizations and they have a lot of data, so you would need to do some quality checks in it. If you have several sources of data, you would do some standardization in it. You will name them appropriately as per your organization terminologies. And then you, in some cases, you may need to append your data or merge your data, and you would need to remove some unnecessary data and remove some errors or null values, etc., etc. So all this happens in the backend where we showed you how you do that transformation in Power Query. Next step is to load and analyze it. The next step in that you loaded it, you starting creating your report, right? You created those charts, you created visualizations where you said it is my uh, product sales by country, by month, and then you created some new measures, like you created profit percentage. That was a simple DAX language. You could create new columns using DAX language, or in the backend, you could just in the transform section, you could do use M language to create new columns or merge data, right? You created interactive visuals, right? The moment you clicked on France in one, it showed effect in all the charts in the picture. Like if I want to see for this particular product in Germany, the moment I click on it, everything happens, right? Everything changes. So, and then you added some appropriate filters as per your requirement. You added the segment filter in that, but we didn't do make relationships, right? So the moment we have more data in the Power BI report, we'll start creating relationships as well. So this was the fundamentals and the basic introduction of Power BI. All right. So let's talk about, is it the only BI tool in the market? No, of course not. In fact, this came up, this Power BI is one of the latest BI tool in the market. Like before this, we have Tableau, we have IBM. So a lot of tools were already there. But what happened? We have more than 100 of BI tools in the market. But why Power BI? Because Power BI is now within a span of 7 to 8 years, it has emerged as the leader in this industry. So Gartner is a firm which studies and rank the companies basis different domains. So in analytics and BI platform, Microsoft was named as leader in Gartner Magic Quadrant. So why is it happening? The reasons for this is because they have hundreds of built-in connectors in Power Query, like we showed you while connecting the data. They always keep it updated. They every month Power BI publishes updates in the Power BI. They take in most of the useful inputs in the Power BI and make it more user friendly for the users, right? They have a really matured cloud connectivity, right? Like Azure, they have their own Office 365 seamless connectivity across the stages, and they have you can access this report in any device. You can use it using your mobile phone. You can use it in tab. You can PCs. You can, in fact, use it in smartwatches now, right? So these are the main features which makes it now the leader in the industry, right? A lot of innovation is happening day by day, and by every month it becomes more powerful and more useful. Let's talk about the evolution of Power BI, how it evolved during and with the time. So back in 2010, or if we say we go 10 years back, if I needed the same report, which we created in 10 minutes, if I needed the same report, I would go to the IT person in my company. I would ask him to create sales by product, by country. I want these filters. Then IT expert would go into his data, the complicated data, and run the complicated queries, and then do some transformation at his or her own end, and then finally creates a report or dashboards, right? Since this person is an IT specialist, not a finance specialist, right? So a lot of iteration used to happen. So every time a new thing comes up, business user will go up to IT person. He will ask him to add these new data points, new sales come up, new segment come up. I want to see data in this format, not in that format. So these iteration used to happen a lot of time. Sometimes it used to take weeks or months to create a single report. And by then, we would have lost so many tools. We would have not be able to forecast our numbers appropriately, right? So the main function of the business side of using the data is to take a right action at the right time with the right data, right? So we will not be able to make right decisions if we are not getting the data at the right time. So this corporate IT driven BI moved to the self-service BI with these specialized BI tools. I'm not talking about only Power BI, with all other tools as well. So this specialized BI tools enabled the end users to create their own set of reports using the spreadsheet. Obviously, the IT expert would need to maintain the existing data. But now connecting with the data, transforming it is way more simpler than we could have done 10 years back. Right now, even the finance people in the industry can go and play with the data. They can transform it as per their requirement. Right, this has removed a scope of errors within these steps. They were taking 4 steps to create a report. Now end users are directly creating those reports. So this has evolved from corporate IT driven BI to self-service BI. Next point is, let's talk about the career path and job opportunities. So Power BI has emerged as the leader in the business analytics. So today there is much demand for Power BI as a certified professional in most of the MNCs and bigger firms. So Power BI will offer you, there are a lot of jobs. So I would say more than hundreds of jobs. If you can click on Google and go search it, you will find hundreds of jobs in one page, right? So they will offer you handsome salaries, give you chance to work in with top companies. But what do you need to get roles in these jobs? You can become a developer, you can become a creator, you can become analyst, you can become principal data analyst. But what do you need? You need some soft skills, right? What do you need before using it? Obviously you need the technical knowledge while creating it, but you also need some soft skills, like you need the business knowledge, business skills, right? And people skills, and obviously the technical expertise. All right, I think we have covered all of them, all the data points, right? I can talk more about the Power BI report we have built. Now, since we have time, let's take go into it and pull in more data into it, right? If I go to get data now, because you can relate the terms, right? The moment you extract data, how would you do that? You can click on more data, or you could directly go to extract data from Excel. Let me take in data from Excel. Let me connect it. I have some sample data in it. When I open it, I have several tables in it. One is country. I have a unique table of country. I have a unique table for product, and I have stock in hand, the one we talked about. Let me directly load it. I don't transform it. Let me directly load it, because this is comparatively a smaller data, right? So now it is loading it. You will see three more tables in the fields pane after it gets downloaded. And Power BI is smart enough to create the models. It will create the relationships for me automatically. And if it doesn't, I will can create it manually. All right. Now I think we have data in the Power BI. You see, I have loaded 3 data sets. I have data country, product information, and stock in hand. Since I wanted to connect these two data sets, I have to have some unique table in between them. So I have product table, I have a country table. So I can connect easily. I can pull in country from here, pull in sales from here, and stock in end from here. So that is simple. So this is a simple design, how a model works, right? So in the fields tables, you see we have now 4 tables. Now add one more sheet here, right? And let's say I want to see stock in hand by country, and let's make it a simple pivot table kind of matrix. Let me take product in the columns. All right. So now you see how simple it is to create any report in Power BI. So now let me just adjust it as per my requirement. Let me just increase the size of font. Now I have stock in hand details by country and by product. My business lead comes up and says my product, my stock should not fall below 5,000, right? I have whole data in front of me. How would I see where is my stock is below than 5,000? One thing is just go by one and see here, you see it is less than 5,000. But you could have done it through conditional formatting as well. You could maybe you could have added icons in if you go to advanced, and you could just remove it. I want only one. Let's say 0 number. And this, I want to highlight it in red. Now you see this is so simple to analyze that I have 3 products in 3 different countries where I see my stock level is low. In United States, my stock level for this product is below than 5,000. Let me ask my procurement team to procure more. So these kind of reports you can make in 10 minutes with these self-service BI tools.